Sometimes I just wanna stay inside, I don't need nothing more. Sometimes I just wanna drink, feels right, but I know it's wrong. Sometimes I just wanna see my...
Thank you so much for being here.
Appreciate you all for having me, ladies. Excited to speak with everyone about the ins and outs of artist management. So we're gonna have a good time tonight.
Yes, and thank you for, donating your time because, time is precious.
Indeed,
Yes.
absolutely, no problem.
We appreciate it so much.
Yes, and I know we got some people that's coming in, so let's get them in the room. So let's go ahead. So first of all, let's talk about this. So we want everybody to keep their cameras off. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically we'll have Mr. Perry, we're gonna go through his history, then we'll go into our topics, and then at the end we do have audience questions. So if I do ask if you do have questions, you can put them in the chat. We'll see them at the end when it's time to be able to open it up for the audience questions. Okay, thank you so much. All right, Mr. Perry, it's yours. Just talk about your history, how you got started, kind of give us your background for those who may not know and those who do know.
So again, my name is Cedric Perry, representing Jersey, always Jersey in the building. I've grown to be known by my nickname in the culture of, so feel free, y'all can call me Ceddy or Ceddy P, that's what everybody calls me. Mama called me Cedric, but I mean, we on regular terms here. As far as my background, I kind of took the winded road to get to music. I graduated from the first HBCU, Cheney University, with a major of business administration. And concentration in marketing. So, but that wasn't really like the love. I just really like to be able to help people express themselves and create opportunities to live their life in the best way they see fit. A lot of times that's through media. And so originally, a lot of my stuff was writing. I did script writing. I did some like web sitcoms. So I never really expected to be in music. But one of my frat brothers, and visiting him, was doing music. He was becoming an artist, and his music was good. I'm like, how are you going to get this out? And he hit me with the Kanye shrug. So it's just like, well, do you know anybody? Didn't really know anybody. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll help. We'll just figure this out. Mm-hmm. And wow, almost 10 years later, here I am. Started a label, Renaissance Music Records, really founded and became official in 2017. And I've just been building myself up. I went from one artist to, at one time I had 4, now I'm at 3. That's still a lot. But in addition to that, I also work with the music and tech company, the Digital, yes. And that's been a huge help in terms of connecting and building relationships throughout the music industry. And my artists are, they're dope. I'll talk about them more as, throughout the night. But we're just continuing to just create great music and navigate this very, very interesting music space. It's very challenging. It is ever evolving, but you learn, you live, and you love. So
yeah,
there we are.
That's very true. So let's talk about the process, right? Okay. So like you said, to start with your frat brother, and just kind of trying to guide from there. Kind of talk about the qualities. Let's just head into it. Like, talk about those qualities and what you're looking for, because we've seen what the industry is now, and we see where it came from in the 90s and the early 2000s. And artist development was something really big, and you got to wear all 3 hats, right? So kind of talk about in this day and age, and what are you looking for you to be able to say, this is the deciding factor for me to manage this person?
So I'll give the full answer. I know now, and this is just almost the space that we're in, you want to see an artist that is pushing the car on their own, so to speak. So there's this thing that, and I'll get to it, I won't ramble, but there's this thing that if you're driving down the road and you see a car stopped, that if you see a person just sitting there, you're less inclined to help them than if you see them actually pushing the car and trying to figure it out on their own. So basically, when you see a person that is taking the necessary steps to learn the industry, to figure out trends, to create their own lane and create leverage on their own, that's a huge deciding factor when it comes to looking for artists in this space. And if they're having any success, it makes it easier because you can already see proof of concept, right? So if we're being transparent, that is very important in today's age, not only for myself, but for most managers. When it comes to me specifically, what I look for is if that isn't already in place, or even if it is, I'm looking for artists that are uniquely talented, because authenticity and uniqueness still looms large in the music industry, despite all the carbon copies that we see.
And that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole, right. From there, I'm looking for an artist that has engaging personality traits or just kind of a story that will be able to connect with people and relate to them. If you think about some of your favorite artists and why you like them, oftentimes it's certain things about them as a person that leads you to like them beyond just their music. So I look for those things. Then, as I was mentioning, you look for self-motivation. Having somebody that's internally motivated is very huge, because it's hard to try to like get somebody, revved up every single time you need them to do something. I'm looking for the better of a communicator you are, it's endless how beneficial that is, because there are going to be times where you need to know what's going on with your artist, or you can't read minds, and we have to be able to make sure that we can come together and approach this music industry as one band, one sound, so to speak. So you're looking for a good communicator. The last two things for me would probably be somebody that's very inquisitive, because saying, with this industry being so fast paced, you gotta be on the go, looking and finding out what's happening, and for me, just somebody that's willing to work, because talent is really not enough in the music industry. It hasn't been for a very long time.
All right. Because you mentioned that you have 3 artists that you're currently managing. How do you balance managing the creative needs and the business needs for your artists? And how do you know what's set for who?
As soon as I figure out, I'm gonna let you know. Plan. It is a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. It has tested me on being structured and being organized. I think every single day, at this point, I'm writing down, I'm going to each artist and checking or what the needs are at the moment.
Okay.
So like I have to do that on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
Just to make sure things are getting done. And then we meet weekly. We talk all the time. We talk almost daily, everybody, if not every other day.
Okay.
And I think beyond that, really just constantly managing artists is really like having a relationship, and it vacillates between having a relationship and parenting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
So
it's like who loves the kid the most,
right.
who's getting most attention. So how does
somebody's always doing something at a different time. You have to prioritize what's going on. You want to try to kind of keep everybody in the know, but people's priorities change, people's goals change. So you gotta always be checking in to make sure that you're connected to them as much as you can. And you gotta have a level of vulnerability, because to me as an artist manager, if I can be vulnerable with you, that gives you a little more confidence in being vulnerable with me. And there are times where things way beyond what's going on musically impact how you create and your motivation to take care of music needs. So like we always gotta be, we gotta be here.
Okay. Do they ever, does any of your artists ever feel like jealous? Like, okay, well, maybe they're getting better opportunities or more time or.
It's happened before.
Okay. And how do you feel with that?
It's communication, honestly. I've seen it go both ways. As I said, I've had more than, my current roster now. So there were times where, changes we didn't see eye to eye, from both their side and from mine. And when that's not being communicated effectively, it can cause tension just like in any other relationship. But honestly, when that has happened positively, it's happened more positively, or there's been more of a positive outcome than negative. And in the positive times, what that has happened is just like, let's get back to what's important, which is you.
Yeah.
What are you working on? What do you feel like you are your areas of need, and that where I can be a support to you to make sure that you're getting all the resources, everything that you need to be successful. A lot of times in those situations is more of a case where it's like, it's not, oh, this person is getting this. It's, I need this right now. And so we got to take care of that.
So at the end of the day, communication is.
Yes.
So besides communication may being a challenge, right? What are some other challenges that you kind of feel that kind of you face when it comes to artist management? Because like you said, it's kind of like the whole parent-child situation. Or is just communication just one of the top ones that you just feel like, hey, do we run into problems where you gathering shows? Do they show up on time? Do they be there at all? Or or do they feel like, no, this is not running with my brand, like, but you see something. What other type of challenges that you say that you kind of do face? Because I think it's very important for other artists and those who are working in this industry to understand that.
So oftentimes, if you're a manager, you've built a positive rapport with somebody they're trusting you. A lot of times it's more external challenges than internal. The one that I will, like I said, the internal challenges that you face is, hey, nobody's gonna come save us. We gotta work. I mean, so the more that we work and the more that we do our thing, this will get this much easier. So just constantly making sure that you're doing the right work. Okay, that probably would be the answer to your question. Doing the right work is a challenge because it seems like there's so many things to do, especially when you're starting out in this business and trying to create visibility, which is another challenge, creating proof of concept. And when I say that, just simply like showing people that they need to take you seriously, showing people that you're worth their time, energy, and money. So that's always a challenge because we're oversaturated with artists now.
Yeah.
We joke at Renaissance, we like, it's almost more artists than there is fans now. So when you're dealing with that, you really, really have to work to stand out. And my personal opinion, not to get on my soapbox, but I feel like there's a lot of times in the industry where you're being fed information that isn't the full truth of how to become successful and how to grow in the industry.
Can you give an example?
Somebody will tell you, yo, if you want to be successful, you got to go out here, you got to create content. You got to create content. You gotta get in front of everybody. Just content. Be consistent with your content. So if you post 7 times every day, but you're not posting anything of importance or anything that's going to connect with anybody, you're you're doing what they said, but it's not hitting, or if you're doing all these things and then you see somebody go from here to there and you'll ask them. I used to joke with people, you'll go to conferences and panels and discussions and like, yo, what's the number one thing that you should be doing right now? And a celebrity will say, you gotta believe in yourself. It's like, I already believe in myself.
You're not telling me anything new.
What's next?
You tell me.
Like, okay, and what's So it's just like there is no like specific route. I think there are certain metrics and standards that hold true, but it's like there's certain things that you need to do that aren't always discussed and talked about, and it's a smoke and mirrors industry. So like you kind of have to understand that a little bit as well. So saying all that to say, it's like you really got to be putting in work. You really got to be kind of like learning what you need to do specifically to get your audience. But what works for Victoria Monet is not going to be the same thing that works for, you know what I mean, Tommy Richmond, or everybody has a different audience. So you really be learning the game and kind of connecting with people as much as you can. But it's a challenge always of trying to like get people to pay attention to you. So that's really, to me, the visibility and the creating like, oh, they're nice, like beyond just like a like on Instagram. Like I need to pay attention to them more. Like creating that connection is probably the hardest or the biggest challenge as a manager.
Okay. And speaking of like target audience, how do you ensure to your artists that they're reaching their target audience? Because sometimes it can get hard when it comes to like music or content. So how do you ensure that?
So I think that's twofold. The first thing is, we talked earlier about how things just boil down to communication. A lot of your success boils down to, are you sticking to your vision? Are you sticking to your goals? Because you can measure those things. And if you know what you're trying to do, it makes this game easier. So it's like, all right, if I'm an artist, a lot of artists want to just become successful and have a full-time career. Like boils down to, I want to make money off my own career. So like, what are we doing to do those things, right? Okay, we gotta hit these metrics. How do we hit these metrics? We gotta reach our target audience. Who is our target audience? Now you have to define that target audience. How do you define the target audience? Okay, what type of music do you make? Who are similar artists that inspire you, or that if somebody has potentially ever compared you to, that's the foundation of a target audience. You can continue to niche that down. The more you niche it down, the better. So then you're talking age range, then you're talking education, then you're talking where they live, what the money look like, what's their salaries, like all these things. You continue to boil down so that you can be kind of like targeting these people via ads, via social media. And what you will see is when you measure those analytics, it's like, okay, this audience we are reaching and we're having a positive response. Now you know that you're hitting now you can tell for sure you're hitting your target audience. That's probably like continuing to work it down to something that you can figure out very easily, and then studying that.
Okay. So now we talked about, first of all, the qualities. Just to recap, we talked about the qualities. We talked about some common challenges. We talked about how to reach that audience. Now, let's talk about maintaining relationships. So not only you as the owner and manager, you have the artists, you have promoters, you have other labels, you have PR. How do you be able to, I'm not going to say balance, but how do you hold so much at the palm of your hands and just be like, okay, I got to make this person, I got to do this over here. how do you pull that together to maintain and build on those relationships or those or connections?
So in the early phases of an artist career or an artist manager career, you're holding a lot of cards. You wear a lot of hats. As you start to grow and you start to show proof of concept, you hopefully are getting people in there that are a little bit more effective or experienced in some of those fields. I mention that to say that it's very important to have someone on the team or someone in the group that can be very organized.
Yeah.
So like we have countless Google Sheets. We have tons of presentations and documents and PDFs and things to know like what to send to who. And we work off of a master doc list of like, all right, PR. We got a contact list. Here's PR. Here's we call them seeding. Seeding is basically if you're ever on Twitter, you see it a lot on Twitter. Sometimes you see it on Instagram. A certain person or a certain video going crazy, artist, and it'll have tons of views and likes and shares and retweets. Oftentimes, that's a person that is of influence that has been asked or been paid to share that content. You need to know who those people are because a lot of times that's kind of how you get your music out. People like, and then to extend that even more, sometimes it's people, sometimes it's platforms. So you'll see, what is their names? Like Spiritual Word. You'll see them on Instagram. The Shade Room doesn't necessarily do it, but like platforms that have a huge engagement. There's certain R&B platforms, there's certain hip hop platforms. It's like people go to them to find music. They are obviously aware of that. They want to make money. So people, labels and managers, they reach out to those people, but you got to know who those people are. You got to have a contact list so that whenever your music is dropping, hey, we're hitting these people. We're reaching out to them. And if you have the budget, you're using that as marketing, but you got to have a list because it's too many, and hopefully you get some on, kind of on just as residuals, but a lot of times that's reaching out to those people. So press, playlists, other playlist curators, like all my playlist friends, when we have records, I have to reach out to them. Promoters, it's a large list, and it just continues to expand. So, that's really being organized. I know I made a long answer to that, but being organized is so important.
Okay. And in 2020, we seen that social media played a big part when it came to music and the influence of music, specifically with TikTok.
Yes.
Now, being that this year TikTok is supposedly shutting down in the US, how do you feel that shift when it comes to music and content? Because now, I mean, some people use Instagram, but TikTok was like a major factor, especially like, you see the TikTok with certain music, and it's just like becomes a trend with making, content. So how do you feel like about that shift?
So it's helpful. It's also everything in the music industry is a dual-edged sword. Everything. So like even when you get a layup or an alley-oop, like a TikTok, where it helps you to drive it to reach people that you can't normally reach, then it becomes oversaturated. Then you got to they start charging ads. Like I know people probably remember when Instagram, you post something and all your friends saw it. When is the last time you posted something that all your friends
saw it? Girl, yes. I'm seeing stuff from
I'll see it about 3 days later.
Yeah. And then you'll be upset and mad, like, yo, my friend's not supporting. No, they're not seeing. They're not seeing your content. And then if you're posting reels, I'm going to go back. I'm going to kind of bring this full circle, but it's like reels and specifically with Instagram are designed to be seen by people that are not following you.
Yeah.
So the majority of time it's directed to people that you don't know.
Yeah.
So there's gifts and curses because the people that know you, it could be a higher chance of support if they saw it. Um, that being said, platforms like TikTok are very important because they're growth vehicles. And if you learn how to leverage them and use them for your benefit, you can get to places that you could never imagine. There's been so many artists that did not have a platform that have it now. I gotta forgive me, I don't know the young man's name, but he got the record out named Kalani, and it's been going crazy on TikTok, trending to the point where, the song came out, now it's trending, and now Kalani is singing it herself, and supposedly, making a verse for the remix to a kid who never, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That only happened because he continued to push the content on the site. Now, again, as I was saying, a lot of these labels, a lot of these artists and management groups that have money know how to properly leverage this even more. So it looks like to the common person, I'm like, all right, let me just post a bunch of times, and then that'll be me. Then I'll have Kalani rapping my lyrics, but it's a lot. So you got to continue to learn the game. If you're pairing education with these social media platforms, you can have success. They're almost essential to the growth of artists in 2024 and beyond. And I know what we're talking about with TikTok as if, it's supposed to be coming to an end soon, but with litigation, that'll probably be at least another year that you're dealing with that. And you got time if you get to it to at least utilize them and their algorithms to help at least get yourself in front of people.
Okay. So since we're talking about monetizing and getting out in front of different audiences, right? Let's kind of go into this when we talk about revenue streams, right? Because obviously as a playlist curator, you work with a lot of DSP platforms, understanding because there's a lot of talks, and especially what Spotify was like one of the major talks in the past couple of months because of the way they're adjusting, independent artists getting found and their music on the platform. Yeah. So I want you to talk about, effective ways to work these DSPs in the behalf of the artists and for the label, to be able to get money and be able to make sure that and first of all, and how are you picking the correct DSP for artists? Are you putting them across all platforms, or are you just saying, hey, no, these, whether if it's, I'm not saying these are the perfect ones, but like Apple may work for you, Spotify's work for you, Deezer may work for you, how are you that deciding factor?
So I think it's essential in this year and in this era to have your music as many places as possible. Mm-hmm. But in that same token, I think it's also important to realize, just in the same way with social media, you're going to have certain platforms that you are more successful on than others and able to navigate better than others. And I think it's important for you to be able to prioritize them. Just like in life with people and anything, you want to serve those that are pouring into you. It just makes sense to do. But having it, because you never know where somebody's going to discover you. I'm a Spotify listener. Majority of people that I know, or a lot of people I know rather, listen to music on YouTube or Apple Music. Mm-hmm. So you got the younger demographic that still effectively listens to SoundCloud, or now, the consistent growth of Audio Mac, because they're platforms and people don't have any money to be spending on them streaming prices. Spotify went up again this year. I'm like, dang, help a brother out. So you considering those things, it's like, you want to have your music everywhere that it can be, so that whoever is meant to find you can find you. It is nothing more. It's nothing worse than, for example, I have playlists on Spotify and I have playlists on Audio Mac. So you sending me an Apple Music link is not going to be beneficial to me. So as an artist, knowing how to access those platforms, access those links, or having short links is what I really recommend, that allow you to have multi streams, where I click the link and whatever platform I use is there. Those things are important now. Now, in terms of generating money, this is a taboo subject when it comes to streaming. A lot of people don't necessarily look at streaming as the primary way they earn revenue.
Yeah.
Because of how low the rates are. And I am in somewhat of agreement in that. I feel like it's more of a opportunity. I look at streaming as an opportunity. It's a resume builder. If you learn and connect with audiences consistently, it can put money in your pocket. But realistically, you're using those numbers to show that you're worth people paying attention to. It's like, we do it all the time. We're visual people. It's like, you go to somebody's page, oh, wow, they got 25,000 monthly listeners. They're worth me at least giving them a chance. Versus that person having 25 monthly listeners, you like me. I don't know, you know what I mean? Even if the song could be fire, but we're trained like that. You're like, they're not even rolling like that.
Well, my opinion, I feel like the pandemic trained us in that sense, because if you think about it, prior to that, sorry to cut you off, because I just like, that wasn't always that way. It's just like, if you hear something good, it's good,
right?
And now you are a fan, and now you're in tune. Now it's just like we're so trained to like, oh, they only got 1,500 followers.
Like, what's their stats? Like, we don't care about the beauty and the art of it.
And it's the commercialization of the industry, of the genre specifically. Like, hip hop has become so financially important to the world. It's like, all right, we're gonna market this a certain way and make artists look a certain way, and to the point where it's like streaming numbers have become way inflated over, like I was conflated, but also made to be way more important than they really are. It's like, again, and these numbers change all the time, but 1 million monthly listeners is $4,000. Like, and y'all, I know y'all from New York. It's like, bro, that's 2 months rent, maybe. Like, hey, so it's
where you live, and if you in Manhattan, that
right.
might get you
that
a
might
date.
be one.
Might get you, yeah.
So, it's like we doing all of that for something. It's like then people can't. And shout out to Z from Audio Mac and formerly a DJ booth, or kind of still a DJ booth. But it's like, you got people that have 1 million monthly listeners that can't pack out a mid-sized venue. You know what I mean? Where the numbers really matter. So that being said, it's like we're investing way too much in these numbers, and realistically, TikTok has helped counter that, because it's like you can have an artist that you've never heard of continue to put a trend and put something in your ear that you would have never listened to before.
Yeah.
But because of those same tactics, like now that's driving up streams. So it's, to me, it's a resume builder. I see people post it all the time. Wow, man, my song did 1 million streams for the first time. And that post or tweet will go crazy, because we're so enamored with these numbers, or the success. And that's really what it's all become now. It's just like a way to show off that you, like, a way to look like you're doing something. But it leads to other opportunities, which could then actually be money and revenue.
Okay. And then lastly, just as far as like the monetizing aspect, how can artists and labels, how can they like maximize as far as when it comes to like the revenue with live performances and tours?
I think
add merchandise in there too.
Merchandise and respect. So you have to, that's why I said you have to be constantly learning and educating yourself on the industry. There's so many ways to earn revenue. Like you said, even for if you go on tour, like you're supposed to register with platforms like Sound Exchange or Song Trust that can collect your sound so that whenever you perform those live, you collect earnings. Like people don't do those things. You know,
What was that called? I'm sorry.
so the website is Sound Exchange.
Sound Exchange. Okay.
Right? Also, you can look up another company, Song Trust. Song Trust helps to collect royalties. But what those platforms like those, and they do different things, but like, where they collect different royalties rather, but they allow you to collect monies in different places, including when you perform records or when songs are performed or when you hear a song in the store. Like all of these things are places you're supposed to, if you hear that, you're supposed to be getting paid for that. Yeah. So having those outside of just I collect money from my DistroKid, like there's DistroKid, then there's your PRO, which is your performance rights organization like ASCAP and BMI, they collect monies. Then you got Song Trust, they collect monies. And you got Sound Exchange, like you gotta continue to educate yourself on all the different ways you can collect money. Separate from performances, knowing about opportunities like sync licensing, which is where you can get your songs on shows and video games and podcasts and things of that nature. Those are ways to directly earn money. It's like, we have a publishing company that we work with that's pitching one of the records that my artists, two of my artists are on a song, and they're pitching it to Marvel and Disney. You know what I mean? And it's like, all it takes is one guess, and that surpasses that $4,000 that it took 1 million streams to get to, which again, I think less than it might be 10% of all artists are at that rate. So things that, just knowing where you can collect your money, those are ways to start. And then just briefly discussing merchandising, especially fashionable merchandise, has become a way for artists to earn and build brand. You know what I mean? If you look at my man Larry June, you know what I mean, and other artists that have brands outside that create merchandise that goes with their brand.
Yeah,
like, you're earning monies that you may not even be able to get from your music, and you're getting it from people that don't even know you. Like I've seen people wearing Larry June, merchandise that don't know who Larry June is, or the shout out Nipsey, like with the Marathon Continues, it's like they never even listened to his songs, but they are wearing his merchandise. So it's just like things of that nature are things to consider, ways to create revenue for yourself. Because I think, unfortunately, people don't want to admit to it, but music, just like sports and other things, like they have caps. Like we grow old, your demographic changes. One day you're hot, the next day, they're singing "They Not Like Us" on you. You know what I mean? Things change so fast. So it's like you just gotta constantly be evolving and finding ways to create opportunities for yourself.
Right. And one last, before we go to the next topic, before there was one that was left that you missed, because I know you talked about Sound Exchange and Song Trust. Mechanical licensing collective is, I feel like needs to get talked about a lot more, that when it comes to royalties and when it comes to streaming and the download services and things like that, being able to make sure that you're covered in a sense, because there is, they're still trying to, obviously they're going to the Hill, they're trying to fight and get more money into the pocket of artists. And that's why all this week, last week, everything, all different artists and rappers, like that's been going up to Capitol, just really trying to fight. So guys, definitely educate yourself. So you said a couple of things. So we got the Mechanical Licensing Collective, and we also have Sound Exchange, and we have Song Trust. So please continue to educate yourself on that.
And
All right.
shout out MLC too, because I know
Yes.
they're fighting the good fight. So
They are. They are. I went to a good seminar, but that's besides the point of that. I learned a lot of things. So in last while we're wrapping up, because I know there was a lot of topics, a lot of things. The time is crunching. I want to talk about the developing of artists and when it's called this industry for the long run. You know, talk about how you be able to sit down and not only with yourself as the label head, but also with your as a manager with the artist and kind of mapping out that long-term career goal in regards to them. Because granted, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of artists that are coming out, they got it, but I don't see it long term for them.
yeah, I think when that situation happens, like they're feeding into the dark part of the music industry. Like the music industry loves to collect on what's hip and what's now, get what they can from you, chew you up, spit you out. You know what I mean? And as an artist, you're a business person. So you gotta constantly be thinking about how you can, pivot, how you can benefit from when you are hot and take that into, bigger and better things. So you see artists like Khalees still relevant almost 20 years from when we first saw them or when they were popular. The long-term vision has to almost be discussed at the beginning because it steers you and it allows you to kind of navigate when you want to make changes, when you can, if you have the foresight and the vision to like, okay, like this is the perfect time for us to do something different,
Yeah.
So I think having vision of what type of artist you want to be, are there any things that you want to be outside of it, of being an artist? All of those things are conversations that we have at Renaissance. What are your skills? What are your values? And what are your interests that we could potentially look at to flip into further things? I saw one of my artists in here earlier. I didn't get a chance to shout them out, but my artist, her name is Key Story. She's a rapper, a female rapper from the Bronx. But Key is into outside of just being a dope rapper, she can play the bass guitar. She's into gaming. You know what I mean? She's into like lip glosses. Like there's so many different things. And if you see her content and just kind of she has a very energetic personality. It's like that leads to other different topics in the same way that we saw. There she goes right there. There's opportunities in the same way that we saw open up for like Cardi B. And now you see Megan doing the same thing. It's like, yo, your personality, your interest can lead to a lot of great partnerships outside of music, because sometimes the music just don't connect, or sometimes things happen where like, the demographic shifts. So you gotta pivot too. You still gotta eat.
Yeah. How can artists balance the creative output with the commercial success when planning their careers?
The commercial success is sometimes unplanned. You can have an idea of what you can hit, and sometimes it'll hit way harder than you even imagine. It's like some people are like, man, I just wanted to get my people's paid, get up out the hood.
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, like they're at the Met Gala, you know what I mean? They're, at the Rock Nation brunches, and it's just like you never even foresaw those things coming. I think just being grounded, just constantly understanding that it's a blessing, and what got you here. So, like you said, the creative is what got you here. So you can't like kind of just abandon that. You know what I mean? And you need to continue to find different inspirations and things that will help motivate you and keep you creative. Life and its experiences is often the inspiration for your creative. You're going to continue to go to different things. And lastly, I would just say to that, collaboration. Collaboration is so important because it gives you different perspective. It gives you different, vantage points. It gives you different tones, different just kind of thought processes on how you can execute creatively. And I wish, especially in hip hop, I wish we were more open to that.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I would say there was a lot of gems that was dropping. We didn't even get to touch everything that we really wanted to get into. But you gave so much, just some of my recaps, are you being inquisitive? Are you being vulnerable as an artist? Are you sticking with your vision? Are you sticking with your goals? And just some of the things that Mr. Perry kind of talked about and shed some light on. We do have some audience questions, so we can be able to wrap up. So really quickly, Lexi Lou, she wanted to know, at what point in time will the artist know to hire a team, whether if that's a manager, PR, etc., etc.?
Okay, so the honest answer is there's several types of managers. Your first manager is often a person that just believes in you and they are there to assist you in kind of like getting tasks done. But the experienced manager is a manager that needs to get paid for their services, their resources, and the things that they bring to the table. So the short answer to that is when you can afford it and when you're making enough money to be able to because they're often paid, we're mostly paid on commission. So it's like if you're not earning anything, then I can't earn anything. So it's like that doesn't make sense. I could be a consultant, I can help here and there, but being a manager requires us to be able to see an immediate opportunity or already be earning. The first manager though is usually somebody that just got like almost delusional levels of belief in you, and that's kind of where that first manager starts at. But to me, when you need a manager is when you have something to manage. That's what was explained to me.
Okay.
All right. Listen, you heard it here. All right. So don't be starting off, waking up tomorrow, say you want to be an artist and you need a manager. So, I mean, you can if you want to. You got it. You can.
Yeah.
No shade. And then of course we have Demis with the question of, it's a known fact that the music game has changed. My question is, why has artist development became a thing of the past?
I think it's still there. It's just not caught up with how fast we get artists. The artist discovery is moving faster than artist development. I'll put it like that. You take an artist, and I'm not here to criticize, I'm just using this as an example, but you take an artist who, like Ice Spice, who became so popular so fast that it was almost moving faster than her having the opportunity to kind of like develop all of the necessary things that she did.
Right. Like stage presence,
PR, and she said it not me. But all of these things, even like I said, even kind of like just art creatively, what I mean, being able to do things in a way that's like it doesn't become mundane. You stay authentic to yourself, but you still do it in a way that's creative and doesn't look like the same song over and over again. Like, so all of these things, and that's like I said, people can hate all they want to. It's like, yo, I seen the Dunkin' Donuts commercials. She doing something right. She making money. You know what I mean?
She got the
Ivy Park.
Yeah.
She had the endorsement with Ivy Park. Yeah.
So she has, like I said, she has a great team, and she has something that people have identified and connected with, no matter how they did it. It's there. So she's polarizing at the least, So, but for artists that are doing it really the traditional way, which when I say traditional means is like you're not a viral immediately and then you're vaunted in front of everybody. Take these moments now to continue to develop in different skills. It will extend your career significantly. If you get on a stage when we first see you and you leave a mark in a positive way, like you wouldn't believe. Like you see Victoria Monet now when she gets on stage, every it's what she say? It's a moment.
It's
It's
a
a
moment.
nothing moment.
Yes. And she's like
So,
a perfect example of just of a plant that, when you put the seeds in the ground and you water and you just
yeah.
give it what it needs, the
Take
nutrients,
time
and then now it's blooming.
Right. And it's nothing better than that. It's like you are an artist that, like I said, I joke with my artists sometimes. It's like when you say your name, let's say somebody doesn't know you, they can point to specific things about you or about your songs that people will recognize. So if I said, yo, you like Victoria Monet, and they're like, yo, who's that? Or my mama girl. You know what I mean? It's like she has a definitive moment, a definitive song that you be like, oh, I heard that song.
Mhm.
A lot of times with these things, if it's a TikTok trend, it does, if there's no development behind it, it's like, yo, I don't know that person.
Yeah.
I don't know them. And there's nothing you can say that's gonna make me know them. So it's like developing yourself and being ready for your moment and delivering. All of that stuff is important. And those are the things that people can be doing now. It's like, yo, when I get on stage, I want to be killer. Well, how do you be killer? It's like, okay, I have lung capacity. I know all my lyrics. I don't use the song behind me. Like I'm using show tracks and using my own vocal. Like all of these things that will make you stand out above the average artist that doesn't do those things.
So we still using show tracks. So we
Still
Nilly
using
Vanilli
something.
and okay, gotcha. All right. Some of y'all might not know who Nilly Vanilli is, but okay. All right. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you so much, Mr. Perry, for just really coming in. You dropped so many gems. For those who kind of came in late, you missed it. But you can catch it back on the replay. These were so many gems, and of course, Danielle and I like to ask our favorite question just to kind of wrap up the night. Just some of your thoughts and some of your words of encouragement to be able to encourage, creatives and artists and those who are aspiring to be in this business. Like, what are some of your words? I don't say advice because sometimes advice can go left. So, what are your words of encouragement to be able to help someone?
So I'm not gonna say you can believe in yourself, right? We're not gonna start there. But I do want you to know, like, despite how challenging things get and how it seems like certain people are just getting all those opportunities and it's not coming as easy. It's like you can do this. Like that's my first thing. Like you can do this. The important thing on how you do this is to one, understand what you're trying to do, lay out the plan, and get to work. You know what I mean? You got to know what you're trying to do. You got to know what you're trying to do, and then you got to start doing it. That's really, really important. So like vision, plan, execution of plan. That's really, really important in this space. The other thing I could say is just like I said, just continue to pour into the people that are pouring into you because they'll become your biggest advocates and you need people speaking loud for you in order to make noise. So, you corral those people, you connect with those people, you build as we do, hot button word, the community, but you got to have people, you got to corral all them people, whether there's 300, you got to corral them. Because then, for those who've seen Soul Food, together we can strike a mighty blow. Shout out to grandma,
Yes, Big Mama.
Big Mama.
So yeah, but you gotta get to work, because nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to save you. You gotta save yourself.
And that's the word.
Thank you so much for, like I said, your time that you gave us this hour. It was a lot of things, a lot of valuable things.
Valuable
that you've spoken. And people pay to go to conferences to get the knowledge that you've just given us for free. So we thank you for that.
Yes.
Anytime. And like I said, hopefully if anybody, you took any jewels, you took anything from this, y'all stay tapped in, connect with me. I'm available on the gram, on doing the little
Your
TikTok,
social.
so y'all can follow me everywhere. It's the same social. It's Ceddy P. ITSCEDDYP. It's Ceddy P. Connect with me. Let me know. Hey, I saw you here on the panel, on the virtual educational panel. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And we'll tap in.
Yes. So I'm going to drop it here in the chat for you. So those who want to tap in, please make sure that you tap in. Amazing, just amazing. I know we got to meet actually through Whitney, who couldn't be here tonight. So it just from there, we've been communicating since then.
Word. Shout out my girl Whit. Tell her I said, hey, you should have pulled up.
Listen, but we miss Whitney. We love her. We send thoughts and prayers to her and her family. So definitely. So thank you so much for coming through, guys. Thank to the guests. Thank you for coming in, sitting with us. This is the second one for Music Month. We have our last one next week to close out Music Month. So you already know, guys. Listen, I'm your host, Ayesha Lewis Redway.
And it's your girl, Danielle Meeks. Happy Juneteenth.
Yes, and happy Juneteenth. Oh my gosh.
Tell them you ain't doing nothing at work. And you ain't doing nothing.
I had to go to work today. Anyway.
Listen.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay because I love my people. So yes, guys, you already know. So tap in with us next week. I shot the link in to follow Cedric Perry. So you can, I don't know why I was about to say Tyler.
Don't say Tyler.
Now we're full. So yes, please make sure you tap in. His thought process, his expertise is everything. So please, if you're an artist, please make sure that you are you doing your thing and reaching out. All right, guys, you already know this. No other than what? Real music, real style, real people. So guys, and it don't get no realer than this. So until next week.